All right, so we're back. Kai, I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I've done any reading from my book, so if you haven't been following along with the series, I had offered to read the entire thing tonight, but she wants to sleep over the next couple of days, so it'll take a while to get through this. The typing, the writing is very small.
It is
Anyways,
very small.
so
Luckily, I read the digital copy because I don't know that I'd be able to read that tiny.
yeah, it's tricky. Anyways, so if you haven't watched the rest, there's a playlist. This is in the playlist. I guess you could go back 3.5 years to when the playlist started.
Yeah, we started this in 2020.
It started in March of 2020.
Yeah.
Felt like the world could use a bedtime story. So
Yeah.
the world could still use a bedtime story, really.
True enough.
It seems kind of cranky. It could probably use a good night's sleep.
Yes.
All right, so Rob Webster is certainly not ready for this. Word has reached Earth of an attack on Falteres. Though, oh, my eyes don't want to focus now. Though he, oh,
Do you need your phone zoom?
no, my eyes don't want to focus now. Though the scope is targeted and not for a full assault by the. Now, what am I trying to say here? Though its scope is targeted and not a full-on assault by the Altilian fleet. There we go. These same rumors now state that there will be a full-on attack soon enough, and Earth is being called upon to help. This means getting a crew together for the Peace Restorer, and Rob is one of the first to get the call. Rob's worried about his ability to fight his battle as his brother Steve, who is at his side on a shuttle boarding the Peace Restorer. As is his brother, who is at his side. Fine, I'll use the phone. Yeah, I'll do it. Or I guess we could use yours.
Right here.
Zoom
I
in
get a
on
lot
the
more
darn thing.
notifications that come up on mine, though.
Yeah, so I will zoom in on this one here. Turn her that way. Okay, focus. Come on, focus. 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 And my eyes are just done. It's just done at the end of the day. Never had to worry about that back when I was in my younger days.
I did.
Yeah. All right, so Steve isn't as nervous as Rob regarding their role in the battle. He is fully confident in the Peace Restorer and its ability to fight against anything the Altilians can throw at them. He also knows that the Falteres has been working on new warships as well, so this won't be the slaughter that some of the other side might be expecting. The younger Webster brothers are more easygoing than John and Jim. They are not fighters. If they can avoid it, they are more laid back, and they had been trying to do their part for the war effort without being a part of the fighting. It's not a matter of confidence as much as them knowing what their strengths are. They are hard workers and not the leaders that John and Jim have proven themselves to be. That is expected to all change now as they find Allison Hannon waiting for them when they step off the shuttle. Glad you guys came, she says. We were told we were needed, so there's no debate about whether we would come or not. Rob says, I'm going to ask why we're being seen as commanding officers, though. John and Jim are missing. The Guardian, Vindicator, and E-215 haven't been seen, and now Falteres is being attacked. That leaves us without 3 of our strongest ships and, more importantly, some of our greatest leaders. I need you guys to help lead this crew now, Allison explains. What happened to those ships, Rob asked. We're still investigating what might have happened, but we believe that is why Altil is trying. Next page. Seriously, my eyes do not want to work right now. This happens to me too on this hockey channel at times. My eyes just bugger up. To finish this war right now. They likely perceive weakness within our allied forces and want to exploit it. I'm going to want to exploit that. Let me see if my eyes get better here. I know you two have a lot of great leadership qualities in you. You just need a chance to show it. I'm giving you that chance while asking you to help us. Steve and Rob look at each other, and it's Steve who answers her. If we do this, I want in on next Earth project, he agrees. Or he says. Allison looks around nervously and then quietly answers Steve. No one knows about that. We do and we want in on it, Steve says. Allison sighs. Your mineral mining work is second to none. Our terraforming skills will amaze you as well, Rob says. He had learned that he had heard the Next Earth rumors, but he had no clue Steve planned to use them for leverage here. He isn't opposed to that idea, though. It seems like a bad time for bargaining. Fine, we'll get you on that project only after we defend our allies and hopefully bring an end to this damned war, Allison says, and shakes hands with Steve and Rob on the agreement. Now, let's get in there before it's too late, she adds, leading them out of the landing bay. Steve and Rob follow behind, looking around at the impressive architecture within the ship, every edge rounded off, and even the interior looking sleek and smooth. They leave the landing bay and enter a hallway to the elevator. They don't speak as they stand next to Allison on the elevator and then start towards the bridge. Once they reach the bridge, they both see a young crew ready to set out into battle. Steve and Rob are only in their 20s themselves, but this crew is even younger than they are. Many of them appearing to be in late teens and apparently quite nervous about what they're getting themselves into. Allison addresses them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're heading into a battle which may be the most dangerous our world has ever been a part of. I know many of you lack experience in war, and that many of you are just out of school and never expected to be placed in this position as young cadets. I thank you for agreeing to be here and for showing me I was always right about the courage of our people. Standing behind me are Steve and Rob Webster, two men who, along with their brothers, helped save the world before. They're here with us to help save it again. During most incidents involving Altilians, I have been at home, sitting behind a desk and making decisions from there. I will not be behind a desk this time. I will be fighting alongside each and every one of you, serving as an advisor to Rob and Steve here, your commanding officers. Rob will captain this ship, and Steve as a second in command. Do as they say. Believe in what we're fighting for. That is all I can ask. And that is the end of that scene. Early word back from Falteres has angered Sabal, leader of the Altilians. I cannot fathom them destroying all of our fighters. We sent 50. I can only tell you what I heard and what I've seen, sir, Rek replies. He is starting to wonder if this battle would be going better if he were the commander. He knew he wouldn't fly into a battlefield like this without a plan. He wanted to support Sabal at every turn, but sometimes couldn't escape the feeling that he was making things up as he went along. Call on the rest of the fleet. Call them here. This has to be our moment. The entire fleet? That would leave our world undefended. Altair potentially free for revolt, and put everything we have into the battle right here and now. I'm well aware of that, Rek. I am also aware that this is our time of ultimate victory. I may have underestimated the strength of our enemy and their resolve, but that just means I need a larger force here to finally stomp them out for good. I will be seen by our people as the great leader who, next page, brought the rest of the galaxy to its knees. Rek just nods. He sends a signal to any Altilian ship listening that they are needed immediately at Falteres for the final victory battle of this war. That's the way you message that when you send that out. He doesn't like this idea, though. He isn't sure this is really the best time to rally everyone at one point in space. If they lose, or even are simply weakened in a victory, it would mean freedom for Altair, a bolder Earth, and the inability to stop any uprisings on their own world which could take place. In Sabal's mind, he only sees this battle in this moment. He has been chasing shadows, and now he wants to finally do something grand that puts them on a level by himself. If Gora is alive and somehow tries to establish himself as the leader of Altil again, he will fail if this is after Sabal's glorious victory over Earth and Falteres. No one will ever oppose him after this grand moment in his life. Falteres looms larger in the view screen directly ahead of their ship. There's something else which is approaching, though, which causes Sabal to sweat. What is that? It would appear that Falteres has another ship we didn't know about. Intelligence reports aren't what they used to be, Rex says. I want that ship destroyed, Sabal growls. As you wish, sir. And we move on to the next scene. Heading directly to the enemy is the only way. Frank rightly feels this battle should be fought. Though he's on board a ship which is likely half as powerful as the Altilian flagship entering their system, he believes in his intelligence and that his crew will win the battle. Let them see us head on for just a few moments, he says to his navigation officer. The Inferno is a ship designed for quick battles. It has speed on a level not seen before with a ship this size. It also is well designed for spaceflight or for flying in a planetary atmosphere, as necessity could dictate. Most of the larger ships on both sides of this war are designed specifically for spaceflight, and many are even constructed in space as well. The Inferno resembles a really large fighter jet, complete with missiles firing from wide wings. Though this ship was meant to remain a secret for some time, yet during testing, it was now or never to see it in battle and to have it set out to defend Falteres. There was some doubt regarding the engine's ability to make the maneuvers expected of it without overheating them. They had hardly done any tactical training with the ship at all, and now it was rushing off to fight Sabal's flagship. Laser fire is seen emanating from Sabal's ship, and that gives Frank a new order. Okay, now and then Frank gives a new order. Okay, now evasive maneuvers, and I want us moved over top of that ship. Drop as many bombs on that thing as we can, he says. And as agile as one would expect a small fighter to be, the Inferno jumps over and above the Altilian flagship and fires bombs down onto the top of its hull. They're designed to override shields of an enemy before piercing the hull and setting that ship on fire, thus the name Inferno. The rapid movement causes the Altilian ship to bank upward and try to match the movement of the Inferno, and they fire heat-seeking missiles, which the Inferno launches countermeasures against. The heat seekers hit the countermeasures and explode in a ball of flame, which is rapidly extinguished because it's in space, so no oxygen. Frank actually smiles as he watches the enemy try in vain to adapt and to pursue them. Ready the thermal weapons for full vaporization of that ship, Frank says. The Inferno is then rocked by the impact from the side of their ship. The Altilian fleet is arriving. We have 4 base ships on that port side. Okay, so we back off to Falteres then. I didn't come out here to get us slaughtered. We'll finish the job on them soon enough, Frank says, shaking his head. In his heart, he had known victory wouldn't be that easy, but he had hoped to at least take that ship out before backup arrived. The Inferno does a quick turn and heads back towards Falteres with ships on their tail, and impact explosions rock the ship while they continue taking evasive actions. They are then aided by their own fleet as fighters from the surface of Falteres fly into the area and start to engage the Altilian fleet as well as they can. As the Inferno gets closer to Falteres, the reality of their plight hits home. The Altilian fleet has launched a full-scale attack on their world, and their numbers are massive. Frank sits down in his chair and shakes his head slowly while he tries to determine the best course of action to take from here. Hit the fighters coming out of that base ship, he commands, pointing towards any ship the ship closest to them, which is trying to send its fleet of fighters to the surface below. And then we go to the next scene. Shariah shakes her head while she stands on the bridge of the warship known as the Shark and looks at the Altilian fleet, which is rapidly making this a one-sided battle. The Shark is capable of holding its own against any of the warships or base ships out there. but the sheer numbers they have to face is daunting to say the least. In the rush to find crews to man these ships, the captain is George Dracos, a man in his early 20s who graduated from military school a mere 2 years ago and has never commanded a ship into battle. He is considered bright and cool under pressure, but he's also green, as is most of the rest of the crew. In this rush to defend their world, it is apparent that the younger generation has far more will to fight to protect their world than generations which preceded them. As she watches the battle unfold in the void of space outside their ship, Sharias wonders what she would have done differently. Her sister was killed by one of her own people, and now they were on the verge of being conquered. Maybe if she had fought harder to let her people, to get her people to see just how dangerous the Altilian threat was. As perilous as their plight was, she feels safe on the bridge of the Shark. George has his crew working well together, and they're targeting the right Altilian ships in order to keep the area around them clear, and they are making certain no enemy craft get above, behind, or below them in this elaborate dance of death taking place. You might have wished you stayed at the surface, George says with a nervous smile at Sharias. I wanted to be involved, not hiding somewhere and waiting to see what happened. I'm tired of hiding. After what happened to Talia, I couldn't just stand by and watch anymore. I have done far too much of that already. It's time for me to be a part of the fight, she explains, again facing the reality of her sister's passing. She simply cannot allow herself to think about that right now. Something's happening out there. Look, one of the officers cries while pointing at a large white vortex spinning near Temp, but bright enough to be seen from Falteres. I hope that's not more help for them, George says. It's been one of those days, so he has to be prepared for the worst. At least he knows he tried, though. Next scene. Mike does a double take. The battle was next to them. There were explosions everywhere, and now they're at Falteres. His first thought is something's gone wrong. Where are we? He asks Nathan. Nathan quickly calculates the needed information. We are precisely where we were hoping to be. Same spot we were near Temp, and or near the same time when we left. Whatever we went through brought us back. I can't explain it, but we're back. So they went ahead in time, and now they're back in time. Mike wipes sweat from his brow. So Falteres is under attack, he says, more to himself than to anyone around him. He looks at his crew. They look exhausted, and some are still terrified by what they've been through. Mike sighs as he looks at the battle straight ahead of their ship. The Vindicator is hardly in any shape to fight, but we aren't here to sing and dance, Nathan. Take us in. Nathan nods and has the Vindicator make its way towards Falteres as well as it can with crippled engines. They soon see the Guardian and E-215 speeding ahead of them towards the battle. Neither ship is crippled in terms of their engines as the Vindicator is. Once they're within firing range, Nathan starts firing at the enemy craft close enough without any need for instruction from Mike. Mike thinks back to General and to the stand the Arcane made for them. Deep down he knows that it had to be General who was on that ship, since he would have done the same if their positions had been reversed. He has always believed he would die trying to save the lives of others. So it makes sense, since they're the same person, just through different life experiences. The Vindicator shakes as Nathan tries to maintain a straight course towards Falteres and battle to save it from an invading fleet. They're using base ships? They're really throwing everything they have at Falteres. Base ships are mostly unarmed, just meant for transporting fighters between locations. Hit them now. I want them all turned to dust, Mike says. Whatever you say, General, Nathan says with a smile. He targets multiple base ships, and they continue their advance towards the fleet, towards the front line of the battle. Next scene. Sabal's horrified. This is the worst time for the Guardian, Vindicator, and E-215 to arrive. He knows Mike Translow is commanding the Vindicator by the slow pace and strong tactical movements he is showing. He then spots the damage at the back end of the ship. They've been through a battle already. Maybe this is our lucky day after all, he says with a smile. Orders, Commander? Rek asks. Let's go after the Vindicator. Take us over to that ship and we'll target their wounded engines. Gain ourselves the rightful victory we deserve. Once we've taken down Mike Translow's ship, they'll surrender to us. Mike isn't certain of the logic behind that claim. Sabal has been over the top since he took command of the ship, and Wreck is starting to wonder if Sabal's grip on reality is slipping. It is conceivable that being the leader of Altil and knowing that Gora could come back at any time to knock him out of his place as leader could drive the man insane. Sabal does have his own reasons for going after the Vindicator, since he believes Gora may very well be on that ship. He was rumored to have been on it the last time it was seen, so he could still be on it now. If he could kill Mike Translow and Gora at the same time, he'd fulfill a dream of his. It was just a matter of making it happen. The Vindicator's moving slowly, but its maneuvering thrusters proved to be functioning correctly and without impediment, as the ship turns quickly to face the oncoming flagship commanded by Sabal. It then opens fire, and the impact of all those weapons fired at once causes the Altilian ship to roll away from them, and it takes some effort for them to right themselves. That ship's very strong, Commander. We might want to call another ship to our aid here, Wreck advises. He looks at the readings from their shields and is amazed at the amount of damage they've taken already, and continue to take as the Vindicator is relentless in their attack. Just get us right and open fire on them, Sabal says. He won't call anyone else or give them the chance to steal what is his moment. He will be the one who ends the life of Mike Translow. This is his fate. Then we go over to Mike's ship. Just keep firing, Mike says to Nathan while they watch Sabal's ship pitch and roll. That ship has crap for maneuvering thrusters. They can go in a straight line fine, but they cannot turn well. We cannot do the straight line thing, but we can maneuver just fine. Yes, Mike, but we're at risk of overheating our weapon systems here, Nathan says as red lights start flashing. Warning of weapons shutdown all over the ship. This won't take long, Mike says. He then goes to the nearest control panel and takes controls of the missile systems from Nathan. Just man the laser fire and I'll take care of the rest. He targets the maneuvering thrusters along the right side of the ship and turns to Nathan. Take us up vertically. I want Sabal to lose us when we finally get the ship right, and I'll make sure he can't turn to face us even if he survives the attack. How do we know that's Sabal's ship again? Dradgen asks. He's targeting us specifically, and it's a stupid move. Sabal is not a smart military mind. Good point, Dradgen replies. Meanwhile, Sabal is quite angry at how poorly his ship is performing in this battle. When he had gone after the Vindicator, he had believed that this would be easy. The Vindicator's engines were damaged and twisted. Their shields had to be weak, and it was just a matter of the right shot aimed at the rear of that ship to finish it off. There is then a rush of shots fired at them from the approaching E-215. Sabal reacts angrily and aims at that ship, which is directly ahead of them at this moment. It isn't the direction he wanted to be facing, considering their main target is almost behind them right now. Sabal uses a control panel he has access to in order to fire shots himself at E-215, and sees the ship list to the side and the lights go out for a moment while a fireball can be seen on board. Well, that was the wrong target, but they're dead in space, Rex says. Maybe this is a good moment for us. We'll be victorious, Sabal says, and considers killing Wreck for doubting he's the rightful leader of their people. Meanwhile, damn it, we're dead in space, Allison screams as fire rages around him on the bridge of the E-215. John gets on the intercom to the rest of the ship and states the obvious. All hands evacuate the ship as quickly and as orderly as possible. Escape pods are armed and ready to make the trip to Falteres. He then hurries out of the bridge and through flaming hallways towards the nearest escape pods. E-215 was not meant for heavy battles like this one. Though it is a capable ship, against the kind of firepower that they're facing here, and faced earlier, the ship's chances of survival are slim. Now it's ready to explode, and it likely will. It's only a matter of minutes before that happens and people need to get off the ship while they still can. The attack by the Altilians has caused a massive explosion on the bridge, and John wasn't sure how many have died. He made an effort not to look around before he left, so he wouldn't be upset and lose focus on his own survival. As much as he wanted to be the leader and save as many as he could, it did little good for his cause if he died on a doomed ship rather than leave when he had the chance. E-215 is simply rumbling in space now, almost all power lost, and routed now to keep the lights on. and life support functioning for as long as possible until the inevitable takes place and the ship perishes. The crew is running for the escape pods, which are set to deliver them to the surface of a planet under attack. John jumps into an escape pods. The pods barely big enough to hold a human being, but with enough strength to them that they will survive the plunge to the surface of the planet. As John presses the appropriate button that allows the pod to fly away from the ship, he looks out the small window and sees other pods heading for the planet. He feels an impact behind him, which has to be the destruction of E-215. As he descends through the battle and towards the planet below, he wonders how many of his bridge crew made it off in time. He heard Addison after the fire and knows he got away, but he can't think of who might have lost. He knows Carissa had been on his side when they took the enemy fire directly on the bridge, but he cannot remember hearing anything from her after the impact. He doesn't have to worry about that right now, and he fights the urge to turn his head around in a vain attempt to see somebody in a pod, the same as his, on their way to the planet's surface. The pods are much too fast and too small for the Altilians to target them. The only real danger was that one might fly into the path of an oncoming ship and get destroyed in the collision. John wishes the pods were armed so that he could inflict some damage on the invaders, but he is helpless now, and the rest of the battle will be fought without him. And we are almost, we're almost to the end of the battle. So, see, it only took 3 years to finish the battle.
Yeah, it's all.
All right, back to the Vindicator. Mike's heart sinks as the E-215 explodes in a ball of fire, which is rapidly extinguished in a cold void. He knew everyone on that ship and knows it's unlikely everyone survived. He sees escape pods heading into space towards the planet below, but he cannot helping who might not have made it. Nathan also reacts to this change in the battlefield and tries to keep his emotions down. I should have been aboard that ship, Mike. That was my ship, and those were my people. Nathan, keep targeting their ship. They're going to pay for this, Mike says. He then fires the missiles he planned to and hits the maneuvering thrusters on the right-hand side of the Altilian ship. There's a small explosion from the ship, which likely means he was successful. He then takes a look at the readings from where he attacked and smiles. Yep, got it. Even better than I'd hoped. Good shot, Mike, Nathan says, after reading the same numbers as Mike had. Nathan then takes aim at the bridge from the side. He focuses every laser weapon they have on one precise spot along the bridge. He fires, and there's a large explosion at the bridge as the bridge is vaporized, and then the explosion cascades throughout the ship, destroying it in a ball of flame. Space is again quick to put the fire out, as cold and oxygen deprived as it is. Mike settles back into his chair and looks at the empty space where the Altilian craft was moments ago. Let's give the Altilians our terms of surrender. Really? Dredgen asks. You're that certain Sabal was on their ship? They're all dead now, Dredge. As far as I'm concerned, the rest of that fleet out there is dead too. We have to cut the head off the beast. We've cut the head off the beast. In fact, all 3 heads are cut off of that beast, Mike says. Next scene, the wormhole opens, and then the Peace Restorer is in orbit around Falteres. Rob Webster sits uneasily at the command of the large warship. His weapons officers start firing without needing to be told, even as Rob tries to figure out what's happening. He looks out and sees the Guardian cutting a swath through Altilian warships, even as others try to flank or get behind it. Let's support the Guardian, Rob says. The Peace Restorer turns and goes towards the Guardian, even as Altilian fighters and warships take their aim and try to take them out of the fight before they were even properly into it. This is Earth's contribution in a battle which has started to dramatically swing in their favor. I don't think they expected us, Steve says to his brother. He isn't upset that with his status as the first officer, since he admires Rob and feels he would make a good leader anyway. It's better to be the one with less pressure, and being the commander offers more pressure than Steve really wants. He is just enjoying the view of the battle from here, now that he sees how important the fight really is. Allison is glad that this is being recorded. The video footage of the battle will be sent to Earth and broadcast so that anyone who doubted that the war effort will see just how far the Altilians were willing to go in order to take over the galaxy. This is going to be very handy for her politically if she survives the battle. The Peace Restorer makes its way to Guardian's position and targets 3 warships, which are trying to hit the Guardians' engines. Though the Guardians' shields are holding, it's a matter of repeated efforts, and they would buckle. The Peace Destroyer flexes its considerable muscle by taking out one of those 3 ships with one well-aimed shot, and then the other 2 peel off to try to get away. They are then destroyed by shots fired from the Peace Destroyer as well. Guardian hailing us and thanking us for their help, one of the officers says from the corner of the bridge. Tell them we're here to ensure victory, Allison says, proud of her crew and the ship they're piloting. It's not often she feels a sense of pride like this in their work does. And this is the last scene. They're retreating, Nathan says, as the Vindicator slots into the battle alongside the Guardian and the Peace Destroyer. The 3 massive warships are then flanked by the Inferno, and the Altilian fleet is scattering in all directions, just as long as those directions take them away from Falteres. Let them go, Mike says as he steps away from the missile controls. They're not reorganizing. This is the end for them, and they know it. Their people have seen enough death in the last week to last them 100 lifetimes. He says in reference to the attack Geyer had carried out from the future. If they knew the whole story, they will, Dradgen says. They have a right to know, and they need to know. He then walks over to Mike and embraces him. You never gave up. In any universe, you are a great leader. I just did what I had to, Dradge, Mike says, with every eye in the bridge on him. It is really the crew I command, which is comprised of heroes. Nathan, you are simply the best navigator in the fleet. I know you're concerned with the fate of the crew of the E-215, but they were simply out of their league there. It wouldn't have mattered if you had been there or not. We saw the escape pods leaving the ship and must hope that all got off with their lives intact. That doesn't change the fact that you've got a damn good leader, that you're a damn good leader and a good man, Mike, Nathan says, as he stays next to the controls and watches the retreating fleet just in case one of them decides to martyr themselves for their world. He knows as well as anyone else of the prophecies and the supposed place in the galaxy that Altil was believed it would hold. Mike looks out at the fleet, now protecting Falteres as they form a blockade around the planet. KG-329 fighters are everywhere as they try to clean up the rest of the Altilian fighters left behind, abandoned and retreat. I am only one man. When I met General, I saw what I could have been. I heard about horrible things I had done in another reality, and it scared me. I don't want to become that man. I admire his bravery and what he did to save us and help get us home, but I don't want to be that man. We're being hailed by the Guardian, Nathan says, and presses the appropriate button, and the image of Katie Translow appears on the screen. Katie, I'm so glad to see you, Mike says as tears fill his eyes. I am too, Mike. I never sat front row for one of these things. I think I'll leave it to you next time and just stay home, she says, a tear rolling down her cheek even as she smiles. I am so glad you made it. Why are you on the Guardian? I came to save you. I'll tell you the whole story. I just wanted to know that you were okay. So you brought us home, he asks. No, we had help from someone you'd never expect. He helped us get home. Dizak, Dradgen asks. How did you know? Katie asks while nodding. I met him once. I talked to him once. I knew there was something different about him. Did he make the trip home with you? Dradgen inquires. Katie just shakes her head rather than give a verbal response. It's been a day of great victory and a day of great loss. And then it goes into the epilogue, which is 4 more pages. But we're already at 33 minutes. Okay. So I can do the epilogue another time. But there you go. So the battle is won. They won the battle. Yay. So, yeah, we can do the other 4 pages. We can do the epilogue another time. But there you go. So, Kai, I have finished the battle. It only took about 3 years. I apologize for that.
It would be really nice. I really enjoyed you reading the books, even though I've read those 3 before we even met.
Right.
But I think it'd be really fun if you read one of your other books.
Well, I have Run.
I know.
We have Run.
We have the paperback version of that one.
Yeah, we have Run.
I think that would be really cool.
I enjoy Run. Run's a little more...
It is shorter.
It's a little more adult, too, and it's not sci-fi. It's a psychological thriller, but I wouldn't mind reading Run either. I enjoyed Run. Run was based on a dream I had, so the dream I had inspired that book. But anyways, there you go. So, thank you guys for listening. I apologize that my eyes don't want to work at the end of the day. but it's 9:15, so normally 10:15 a.m. My eyes
Screens
just don't
all
want to
day,
focus.
yeah.
So anyways,
They
there you
almost
go.
finished my dinosaur.
It's so weird.
I got 2 of his feet.
She's making dinosaurs. Anyways, there you go.
Dinosaurs, they're great.
So, it seems weird to do my normal closing for this, so I'll just say again, if you are curious about the rest of the story, there's a playlist on the channel, and yeah, so I'm glad that I've read these and I wrote these, and this is one of those things I was really proud of before I was a YouTuber. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for your attention and for your time. And yeah, I'll read the epilogue because it does get into what happens after. Because I wasn't sure if I was ever going to go back to the characters again, so I wanted to kind of give a here's what happens after kind of thing. But yeah, the battle's done. And it gets into who didn't make it out of the battle as well. So all right, there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support and for spending your time listening to me read. So there you go. And I apologize, my eyes didn't want to work at first. They got better, but it just takes a while. This one especially, it just keeps watering on me. So
I
anyways,
think it's funny, both of us have our left eye that likes to misbehave.
no idea. Anyways, there you go. Thanks for your support, and I will talk to you again soon.